In this video, we're going to talk about, and you're going to learn about, identifying your niche when developing your personal brand. You see, a lot of people usually get stuck on identifying their niche, and we're going to walk you through a simple step-by-step process so that it makes it easier for you to either rediscover other important aspects of testing your niche or help you, if you're in the beginning stages, figure out which niche you should be going after. There's an old saying, the riches are in the niches, and it's so true. And the reason why is because nowadays, with so much competition, so many people getting online, so many people building their personal brands, producing content, running advertisements, offering products and services, people are literally exposed to thousands and thousands of messages and pieces of content and advertisements every single day. And so if you're not very clear on who you're speaking to, the value that you offer them, and how you're really different and or better, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete, whether you're offering products and services or whether you're just trying to develop and grow your personal brand. So understanding and identifying your niche is probably going to be one of the simplest but most important things for your personal brand and also potentially an online business that you may have. So the first step you need to know is identify your interests and your passions. Now, I'll make a disclaimer. A billionaire that I had learned from, he told me that you don't always want to find passions to build businesses around. And the reason why he said that is because a lot of the times people will, for example, in a ridiculous analogy, people will have knitting. Knitting might be their passion. And it's just probably not going to be a very profitable niche for you to build a business around. It still might be a passion of yours, but if your highest values or your goals in life, your goals with your business or yourself and the personal mission you have is to create a big impact in the world, to have financial freedom and independence and live life on your terms, to travel the world, to give back to charities and causes that you support and that you believe in. If knitting is your passion, but that is a bigger mission of yours is to go and do those things, knitting is probably not going to be a profitable vehicle or business or niche for you to really be able to fulfill the mission that you have and the values that you have for your life's goals or your business goals. So with that being said, if you identify your interests and passions happen to be a profitable way for you to also fulfill your highest level needs, your ultimate life's purpose, and the goals that you have both financially for you and your family to live the life that you want, and from an impact or philanthropy and fulfillment perspective of the things that you want to do to make a difference in the world, if you can find a niche that is in alignment with your interests, your passions, and your ultimate purpose and vision and goals, then you can proceed down the line. But again, if you have a niche that you want to go after because it is an interest and a passion, but right off the bat, we can quickly identify that it has to do with knitting, it's unlikely that should be one that you pursue. It would almost be better, from the billionaire's advice and the perspective he shared with me that I'm now handing over to you, to find a passion that you can become passionate about. Meaning, making a lot of money may, in a certain way, may not be the thing that you thought of initially. Learning sales and marketing, learning how to do social media for businesses. That might not be a passion of yours because you might not have a skill set in that area, but it could be a means to an end. Meaning that if you got really good at social media marketing, just as a hypothetical example, that would be a really good way for you to make a lot of money in a short period of time compared to knitting. It would then give you the money to then focus on knitting, which would be your passion, and also doing the philanthropy work, traveling, investing, and living life on your terms. So sometimes, as the billionaire has shared his advice, sometimes it's better to find a really powerful way in the current economy, the current marketplace, to find a way to make money effortlessly and easily. You might have a passion for a job or a skill set for a job that's just not going to exist in the future because of technology advancements, artificial intelligence, robotics. Those are going to disrupt a lot of the job markets. And so if you currently have a passion or an interest or a skill set for something that's maybe not a profitable niche, or maybe for a job and a skill set that will be replaced at some point by technology and robotics, I highly recommend that you get some new interests and new passions around an area that's a skill set that's growing. You might need to go online and educate yourself on specific things like you're doing here, where you're learning about personal branding. Because knowing how to use your personal brand for any business, product, or service is going to help you make more money, impact more people, and that's going to set you up for the future that you really want to have. And that's ultimately what we're talking about. Identifying your niche is nothing more than a way for you to quickly and easily get on the right path to impacting more people in a specific audience, a niche, and then being able to profit from that. Because if knitting is your passion, as the billionaire said, you need to earn that. You might be passionate about basketball, but you might not ever be a professional who makes money to pay the bills for your family and put food on the table. And so you can play basketball on the weekends, but you need to go and get some type of way to make some real money. So you earn your passions. You aren't given your passions. And life's not always easy. Sometimes we have to work. And our definition and interpretation and meaning of what work looks like, work should be a good thing. But a lot of the times, if your passion's knitting and that's how you try to work to make money and you don't make money, then you struggle in your life. Your family struggles. And because you tried to monetize the niche or passion or interest of knitting, you don't make the money that you could if you went full time on it. And then that has negative ramifications to other areas of your life. So instead, win both sides. Find an area where you can develop a skill set that's going to make you a lot of money in a niche. That is how billionaires become very successful. They find a profitable niche. Clearly, you never become a billionaire if you never found a profitable niche or vertical or industry to capitalize on. And so, again, handing down the information I've heard and learned from billionaires, find a niche that's very profitable, very lucrative, and a lot easier to make money in than if your passion was knitting. Only as an example, to hypothetically explain to you, you could do the same 9 to 5 hours or whatever, right, per day, knitting and barely getting by, trying to sell your handmade jewelry or whatever it is. Or you could go and get a unique skill set in the next 12 months that could help you make a lot of money because you found a niche that was a lot easier, a fast-growing niche and industry that's in high demand, money's getting thrown at it. You want to be on the receiving end of where money's being thrown. So step one is identify your interests and passions, but as I just went on a tangent about, make sure that in some cases, you might not have the interest and passion that's profitable. So put that on the shelf, do that in your downtime, and get the skill sets to find a new interest or passion that can fulfill your actual passions, your actual purpose. Because a lot of the times people are working in jobs they're not even happy with, and it stops them from doing their passions. And then we have this delusion that somehow when I start my online business or do whatever I want on my own, that it's going to be my passion and I'm going to make money from that. It's not true 99% of the times. You have to earn your passion. Go make so much money doing something that's in high demand and develop those skill sets so that you have so much money that you can live the life you want and truly follow your passions and interests. But in the best case scenario, hopefully you start to learn a new skill set or currently have a skill set that becomes a passion, because let's be honest, people love to win. And if your passion is something that makes you lose, you're not going to probably be passionate about it much longer. No one is passionate about losing. They're passionate about winning. And so if you find a new skill set that can make you a bunch of money, give you the life you want, the financial freedom, the independence to live life on your terms and travel and do whatever you want and experience what you want and give what you want, you're going to become passionate about winning. And so when you win in a certain area, then you can go to your other passions that maybe aren't a financial winner, but they fulfill you inside. And so you need to find balance. I just wanted to establish that benchmark for all of us so we're on the same page here. So when you're going through step one, we're on the same page. Now we move into step two. Identify problems that you can solve. Just for the congruency of our analogies here, if knitting is the problem you're solving, it's a small problem. I can't see people being like, oh man, I got a big problem and a big checkbook. I need someone to knit me a blanket or a sweater or some socks. That's probably unlikely. So the problem that you can solve needs to be big, needs to be in high demand. It needs to have people literally throwing money at it consistently because we need to solve that problem. There's either a new area in the marketplace, the economy, and the world that has opened an opportunity. Social media didn't exist that long ago. It does now. People have found out that you can build a personal brand, you can become an influencer, you can develop authority, you can be a thought leader, you can make money without a business, you can make money with a business. There's so many ways that social media has allowed people and businesses to make money, connect with each other around the world, and either promote products and services in our brand, bring awareness to our good causes and our nonprofits and charities to raise money and bring awareness to something that we're doing in the world, to spread media and important messages around the world quickly for people, to build an influential brand and content that helps people consistently. Social media is a new development that has solved problems we didn't even know existed. And now, because of that, there's so much opportunity on social media. It's a multi-$100 billion and growing space for any of us, you included, to jump in and figure out how you want to play in the competitive landscape. And I say competitive landscape because, let's be honest, there's billions of people already on there. That means there's competition when creating content. There's billions of people on there, which means there's lots of companies advertising to those people. So by no way are you going to effortlessly get online and have zero competition. So I want you to be aware that it's very important you have a niche in a specific audience, that you solve a specific problem for them that's different than other people. And so when you do that, it gives you a higher probability of succeeding because, as we go over here, you have a message to market match, which means you're speaking to an audience. They feel like you understand them. They feel like you are in such resonance with identifying the problem they have, identifying the outcome, the solution, and the destination they want, and you're able to bridge the gap through your product and your service, through your content. And so when you're speaking, your message is speaking to a specific person in such a way that it matches, it's like the person saying, "Me too. This is for me. You understand me and you get me." And as soon as a business's message or you as a personal brand's message and content speaks to a person in such a way where they feel like you get them and that you understand them, that's when your niche has the highest probability of purchasing from you, buying from you, following you, learning from you, because you're speaking to them in a way where other people don't have a niche and they're speaking to everyone. And so when you try to speak to everyone, you actually end up speaking to no one because the people are left saying, is this for me? Do they really get me? Are they different? I don't think they seem specific enough to my situation. For example, if you broke your foot, would you want to go and see someone who's a doctor for all things? Or would you want to go and see a doctor who only specializes in helping people fix and heal their foot? Now, obviously, if you hurt your foot, you'd want to go to a foot specialist doctor, not a doctor who specializes just in the human body. Because it's the same thing when you have a personal brand, producing content and messages and stories and products and offers. You need to be the foot specialist speaking to people who have a foot problem. So that I say, yes, Dr. 1, who does everything, doesn't speak to me as well as Dr. 2, who speaks to me saying, if your foot hurts, I'm the doctor who can help you. All I do is work with people who have that problem. Identify the problem you can solve for the specific audience that you want to speak to. So when you're speaking to a specific person and they feel like you understand their problem and that you're clearly the best person to help them, that's when you'll make a lot of money and you'll have a very profitable niche. And there's a lot more to it, which is why you're in the program, to learn all the necessary steps. The next step is doing research. And what I mean by that is once you know the niche that you're in, you can begin to go research the online landscape and industry to find other people who are offering similar messages and content and problem solutions through products and services. So when you do your research, you dramatically increase the odds of you being successful, because instead of being blind and walking through the jungle of the online space, the business landscape, your industry or niche, instead of guessing and figuring it out through trial and error, you do your research first. Just as if you were going to climb Mount Everest, you would probably, I hope, want to do some research on what it looks like. How can you prepare? Who's already done it that you can learn from, so you can avoid making the costly, very potential, even deathly mistakes of climbing Mount Everest without a roadmap, without any research. And so just like in your niche and your industry, for your personal brand or your business, you need to do research to constantly be monitoring what's going on in the landscape so that you can accelerate how fast you can grow and impact and stand out. If you see everybody doing the same thing, that's probably a good sign that it's working, and that's a good point for you to start, because you don't want to do something completely different and take the risk of it not working. So you want to do two things. Number one, in your research, you want to find what works based on what others are doing, and that's what you can emulate, copy, and model. Meaning you can do the same thing that others are doing to start. Then, as you continue your research, you're going to move into this category of testing. Think of it like this. If you do research and find out that all the boats in the ocean are all using the same lure, the same fishing hook and bait, and they're all catching fish, it would be foolish and unwise of you to test a different lure when every boat in the ocean is proving to you through the research that this lure and hook and bait works well and catches fish. So you would want to start with that research. You'd want to start using the same lure, hook, and bait while also testing other lures and bait as well simultaneously. So you would be using the same thing that's proven to work while also testing different content, different products, different price points, different services, and different messages. Because when you test, you can get a competitive advantage ahead of other people for a short window of time, because things move quickly and people will find out what you're doing and if it's working. Because just like you would research what others are doing to see what works, to copy, eventually when you've tested and innovated a new thing that works, others will eventually find out and they'll copy you. And that's how you become a competitive leader and an industry leader in your field with your personal brand or your business, is that you start with research to find out what's working so you can copy it while also testing other things. Because the people who only copy what's working, they will always be behind catching up to the people who, in addition to just doing what's working, are also testing other things to get ahead, to advance, to make progress faster instead of waiting for everybody else to innovate first. And so that's the important part of doing the research. Step 4 is determining your profitability. When you're determining your profitability, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. Number one, it should be obvious in your research. You can look and see how big of an industry is this. Is this a $100 million industry? Like the knitting industry might only be a $100 million industry, where online social media could be a $100 billion industry, which means a couple things. There's a lot more slices of pizza to go around, which means you could get a pepperoni on that and you could make some money, because a $100 million knitting industry is not even remotely close to as much opportunity as a $100 billion industry, which is why it's a lot more crowded and competitive. And it's very important that you have a better message to market match that speaks to a specific niche and demographic. For example, online social media marketing can be a $100 billion or $200 billion industry, depending on when you're watching this. And so inside of that, there's probably an unquantifiable amount of little tiny niches, people who do social media marketing just for chiropractors, just for restaurants, just for lawyers, just for fill in the blank. They found a niche within a $100 billion industry. And so that's what I'm advising you do as well. You find a niche in a huge industry that has a lot of opportunity for you to come in, create impact, be different with your message to market match, speaking only to a specific person who has a problem you've identified that you can solve faster, better, whatever, quicker, more uniquely, more special, more custom. There's a lot of different ways that you can solve the problem in a different way, or you can solve the same problem in a way to a different audience. Like social media marketing brings you more leads and customers. That's the problem. So they're not necessarily solving that problem differently. They're simply solving that problem only for chiropractors, only for dentists, only for real estate people. And so they have a message that speaks to a market so that instead of saying, I do social media marketing for anybody who needs more customers, the other person, like the foot doctor, is saying, I only help dentists bring more customers in the door. And as a dentist owner, you would say, the other person says they do marketing for everybody. This person says they do marketing for dentists. I'm a dentist. Just by shifting your message from everyone to someone dramatically increases the odds of you making more money, because for the first time, you're going to be speaking to someone instead of at the entire potential demographic. And just by doing that, you dramatically increase your odds of success, which is why the old saying is, the riches are in the niches, because as soon as you niche down, you have the potential to make a lot more money. And then we go into the final step, step 5, which is test your idea through 2 different ways. Number 1, you're going to see how the engagement on your content looks, which means if you're producing content within your niche to your specific audience and people don't seem to be giving you positive feedback, they don't seem to be telling you via comments, likes, and shares, and maybe direct messages privately saying, amazing stuff, love your content, love the different perspective. Where'd you come from? This is amazing to see you teaching this information. It's so different, it's so much better. And you don't see positive reinforcement and feedback through your content engagement, it's probably an indicator of 1 or 2 things. Number 1, it could mean that you're early on in your stages of your content development and you're learning. So maybe your content is just at a beginner level where people just don't fully feel your true capabilities yet. You're just not fully developed in your ability to create great content that really is going to make people feel like, I've got to follow this person, I've got to engage with this person. And as we continue to go through this training, you're going to end up learning all the different ways you can avoid that from happening so that not having great content doesn't even become an option. I just wanted to let you know that if your content engagement doesn't seem to be what it should be, it's probably because your content development skills are beginner and elementary. And as you advance as a content creator, as you get better and more confident and certain in your ability to create content that works and gets lots of engagement, then that no longer is relevant. Which brings us over to the second option. Maybe your content is amazing and it's either being seen by the wrong people or it's not being seen by enough people or any people. And as we progress through the training as well, we're also going to cover that so that neither one of these is an option. Your content will be amazing and you will reach the right audience, which is exactly why you're in this program, so that you can test your content engagement and make sure that it's solid. The last thing is you're going to test your idea of your niche and your message through sales. If you make a specific offer through your products and services, or you refer people to an affiliate product or service, then you should be generating some type of sales, even if it's small at first, which it probably will be if you're just getting started with your audience and you have a small foundation of people that you're reaching. As the audience size grows, your content reaches more people, your offers will reach more people, meaning you're going to make more money. It's the logical progression. As people are impacted and added more and more and more value from you and your content, you're going to have a higher probability you're going to make more money and have more sales. And with that being said, We're going to cover more on all of these things coming up in the training. This was an in-depth, detailed, but also very foundational concept of how identifying your niche is going to help you make more money and get you started on the right path. We hope this training has been helpful. We'll see you in the next one on identifying your target audience.